What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
Savage.
Happy holidays, everybody. Hope the season's treating you well. My name is Randy Troy, for those who don't know. Longtime One Piece fan. Talking over 20 years, since 2002. Weekly since Skypiea. And I'm honored that Tekking reached out and asked me to do a video for the St. Jude charity stream, which, I'm a big fan that Tekking does that. Man, what would be the Tekking thing to talk about today? Or do? What if we did a sneak attack? Maybe I should call first. No. I also don't think that's the Tekking thing to do. This could be interesting. Or a bad idea. Or interesting. Let's give it a shot. Stay with me, people. Worked. Okay.
Holy fuck! Randy!
Hey, man.
Hi!
Hi. It's been a while.
Wait a second, are you the ghost that's been haunting this house for like the last 5 weeks?
I will neither confirm nor deny that.
Okay. Well, actually, my plan with the ghost was actually just to invite them on my YouTube channel to help me out, so would you like to do a video? I got everything set up. Coincidentally, the camera is just recording and the microphone's all been set up already. Crazy, right? That's Barry. He's my intern. He helps me out with that stuff.
So you set this up. You know I've been messing with you, and this is how you would catch me.
Yep, that's the game. All right. Summon the backup chair. How's everybody doing? How's everybody donating over at the charity stream? I have no idea how the charity's been going, but I guarantee you right now we have just raised over $100,000 for St. Jude Children's Hospital. But keep on donating. We're going to hit 100 million by the end of the stream. Yes.
There we go.
Okay. Randy Troy, One Piece YouTuber extraordinaire. Here he is.
Tekking101, One Piece YouTuber extraordinaire.
I was going to say, you just stop at One Piece YouTuber. And then just an awkward silence. Okay, well, today, we have something really special for you guys. I actually have to cue it up here. We have right here, One Piece, 10 plot holes that broke the world's logic. Okay, this is from CBR. I think a lot of people are you familiar with CBR?
They exist.
They exist, yes. You know what, there's a lot of YouTubers I know that'll make videos against them that are just like, this stuff makes no sense, and I've even done one of those before, but like, no, they're not all, like, top 10 plot holes. I think a few of these do make sense, but others, just from a perspective of like, okay, fans of the story and everything like that. No, this isn't really a plot hole, this kind of does actually make sense,
But here's the thing, too. That broke the world's logic? Which world? Our world? Their world?
Yeah, it broke the world's logic. Like what One Piece plot hole could break our world's logic?
You would literally need everybody in the world to be a One Piece fan.
Yeah,
in
you
order
literally
to actually break.
Well, I was thinking of like what would have happened if like we finally get to Laugh Tale, we finally find the One Piece, and it's like something that literally makes no sense. Like he finds the One Piece, and it's not even something that like belongs in One Piece.
What if we're too early?
Oh no! Oh my God, that would break everything. How about that? That's a theory. So we get to Laugh Tale, we get there, and Luffy sees the same thing Roger saw, and Luffy just laughs, and he's like, "Sorry guys, we're still too early." But it's not like
he turns and breaks the fourth wall, and he's just like, "Everybody reading, you're too early.
We're too early."
But you know what? Your kids are gonna love it.
You kids are gonna love it. It would be hilarious. No, it would be more funny if they get there and it's like they're early, but not early by any sort of like huge margin. They're like, oh no, we're like 4 months early. So now what do? They Did they just stay on Laugh Tale for 4 months, or are they just like, hey guys, we're gonna just go back and we'll be back here in like 4 months. We'll click back up here, touch base, and see what happens.
3D 4M.
Yeah. 3D 4M. But anyway, yeah. So, top 10 plot holes that broke the world's logic. There's an image of Kaido and Shanks here, so I'm assuming something. By the way, this website is filled with ads, so we can buy a new Chevy, I guess, if you want. But anyway, yeah. So let's start with number 10 here. Okay, number 10. Zoro cuts off his feet, but fights 10 minutes later. Okay, so this is referring to the scene during Little Garden.
Well, there's already an error.
Yeah, there's already an error.
There's an immediate error.
There's an immediate error as soon as we
Zoro
read.
still has feet.
He still has feet. He slices off his feet. His feet are on the ground, and in the next shot, he just has them back again. You know, no. But no,
he
so
only got part way through.
So to the setup, it's in Little Garden. They're trapped on the giant birthday cake set that Mr. 3 Galdino creates. Zoro, being a samurai, is like, well, this is an easy way to get out of this. Zoro's an Occam's razor kind of guy. He's like, my feet are trapped in the wax. I'm just gonna now. He was planning on cutting off his feet, so he took both of his swords. By the way, the angle at which he was trying to cut off his feet doesn't even look like he could manage that. Because he took his swords like he was gonna stab down, like...
Yeah, but I mean, it is Zoro.
It is Zoro. He probably could have managed it, but not in, like, maybe one fluent motion. It would have probably taken a few stabs to get through.
Maybe there's, like, a, like a curveball-esque way of using a sword. So...
Bend the sword. Like, have you ever seen the hit 2007 movie starring Angelina Jolie, Wanted?
You gotta curve the bullet.
You gotta curve the bullet! He's seen Wanted! Yes! Obscure 2000s movies references. My favorite one of that vein to reference is the movie Jumper. Because I hear, like, nobody remembers Jumper.
Oh, like what I just did.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. You're the Jumper. You're the sequel to Jumper. There you go. But no, yeah.
There actually was a sequel to Jumper.
There was? No, there wasn't. There was not a sequel to Jumper. I gotta look this up.
I'm pretty sure there was.
I gotta look this up, man.
Straight to DVD and
oh my god! I don't care if it was straight to
the main cast.
I don't care if it ended up in the bargain bin when I worked at Dollar Tree. I'm gonna be so upset. It's like the sequel to Jumper, Leaper, and just like that's what it was. I just never knew. Anyway, back to this. So Zoro does not cut off his feet. He stabs his feet. He mangles them pretty badly. He still has the scar. Where I love scars in One Piece that are just like, I've drawn them on my face before. It makes it really simple to mimic. It's just a line with some other lines like parallel or perpendicular to them. So he still has the scars, but he didn't make it all the way through. But yeah, he was able to jump around after. He had some really cool flaming katanas.
Every scar in One Piece looks like something that was poorly stapled back together.
That's pretty much it, yeah. But it makes it fun. Even like Katakuri's mouth. I remember I did a video once where I drew on my face like Katakuri's like Glasgow smile kind of thing, and it worked fine. Anyway, but yeah, we're already starting off to a great start. Okay, number 9.
Well, another thing just to say about this.
Yes.
Is it wasn't really a fight. It was one attack.
Okay, yeah, that brings up another question. Is, like, one fight considered an attack? I mean, one attack consideed a fight, you know?
Because
he jumps out.
He burned the candle.
He burns the... Usopp lights the candle on fire.
Vivi take out Miss
Valentine.
And then Mr. 5 is already on fire from Usopp.
Yes. Filled with Tabasco sauce as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Zoro didn't really have to do much here.
Yeah, he really was just like, I have fire swords. I need to cut somebody with these. You know what I mean?
I've never thought this deeply about this movie.
Actually, you know what? I have another angle to take this with a plot hole that is probably a direction you've never even considered, but it might make more sense as a plot hole. So in this fight, Zoro has the flaming swords, and I think he has a comment that's like, I could get used to these flaming swords. These flaming swords are pretty cool, right? Because they are.
Foreshadowing.
Later on, foreshadowing a little bit, but later on during Skypiea, Usopp gets his hands on the dials. And I think, I'm not sure 100%, but I think Usopp suggests, hey, Zoro, I can give you a flame dial, and you could have, like, a flame sword. And Zoro just turns him down flatly, like, nah, I don't want that. And I'm like, hey, he said here he liked it.
And then also says to Kinemon in Punk Hazard, I want to learn this technique.
Yeah, and he just steals it. He's just like, I have this ability now. So there you go. But yeah, that's the foot one.
Taskmaster Zoro.
This one, okay, I can understand where this one comes from. Haki is a concept, but especially before the time skip. The general premise here is that Oda did not come up with Haki when he first created the story, that he didn't realize Haki until like halfway maybe through pre-time skip One Piece, and then he started incorporating it way more, and then fully realized it post-time skip. So, this... if you consider what Shanks did in chapter 1, where he used like the glare and that scared the Sea King,
Yeah.
was that Oda like, okay, no, there's this concept called Haki, it 100% exists, and I'm giving it to Shanks? Or was it just like, I'm just gonna make Shanks so cool, so badass that just his stare was enough to scare the Sea King, and then later on he just like retconned that into being what Haki is?
So I've always felt that Oda had plans for conquerors and I would say observation, but I think that armament and especially its design of it probably came later. Now I remember this particularly, and this is one of my favorite old theories from like being weekly, is everybody was saying that Rayleigh had sea stone sandals in this
Oh
moment.
my god, that is glorious. So that's an old
He
like
had the sea stone chanclas. That was everything. Everything back then was
Stone chanclas.
if it stopped a Logia, it was sea stone.
Yeah, that was the rule.
That was the
that
rule.
was
We
the
didn't-
rule
we-
back
yeah.
in the day. And dude, you know what I also love about it is like I wish YouTube would have existed back in like, when did Logtown first get serialized? Like 99, 2000? I mean, it was a long time ago when it first came out.
Yeah.
When Smoker first appeared. Like, I would have loved to have, like, if there was One Piece reviews on YouTube back then, you'd be on there like, Smoker's invincible! He can turn into smoke! Nothing can touch him! You know? Like,
Right.
it's like, how he's
Well,
like, such a
actually,
broken character!
We'd probably have an entire video
Yeah.
about how his his jute or jite.
I never know how to pronounce it right. I've said jute, I said Judy, I just say Smoker's baton at this point. Like, that's honestly what I say.
Well, he
Yeah.
explains that it takes away the devil fruit powers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So then it would just basically, we'd have all these videos about how, all right, so Luffy, Zoro, somebody, they have to get a hold of Smoker's weapon and use it on him.
Use it on him, yeah. Even with that weapon, I've seen a lot of people that don't understand how that weapon works, because people think the whole thing is made out of sea stone, and it's just the tip. It's just the tip, ladies and gentlemen, right? Okay, yeah.
Kairoseki is a very rare substance.
Super rare.
From the
yeah.
land of Wano.
Yeah, from the land of Wano, which is why the only people like, because people have probably theorized about like sea prism bullets.
Do you mind if I take this water that's
Yes.
that was conveniently here? Not,
Yeah,
not
conveniently here. I just have water bottles laying around my house.
Oh, great.
I'm very environmentally conscious. But no, it's like, sea prism bullets have been a theory forever, and it's like, how come there's no sea prism bullets? And it's because they're super hard to get that substance and to mold it on that small scale. And we only saw sea prism bullets recently in Wano, which is funny because the first person to use them was Armadillo Man. Just this random smile user. Like, he's the one that introduces the concept.
I think one of my favorite was was just the introduction to the sea stone nail by Hawkins.
Yeah, he just has a
Using it against
nail.
Law.
Yeah, he's used a nail. Actually, I think Zephyr, I think, used sea prism bullets. He had like a little derringer, like a little sea stone derringer in
I remember,
in Film Z.
I remember he had it in his his arm.
Yeah,
Obviously.
yeah. The arm was like the material. But yeah, so the Haki. So
I always wanted Frankie to have a sea stone hand.
I wanted Frankie to get upgraded at Wano to get sea prism.
Yep.
Just a sea, not even like the bullets with, you could see, because he would eventually run out. He couldn't like make more of them. But just like a sea stone like gauntlet or bracer on his arm, and he just like slams it into a devil fruit user. Like, that alone would be something.
I mean, these are all of the conversations post Eni's lobby. It
Yeah.
was just like, okay, well, we need Robin to learn Rokushiki, and we need like a multi-hand Shigan,
Yeah.
and Frankie needs sea stone upgrades because we weren't even talking about
I,
Haki.
I want Robin. Like I think Robin with her like Demonio form plus the Haki. I mean, it kind of already looks like she has armament Haki when she goes into that form.
Exactly.
So,
and
yeah.
it's
So, but this one is it's up for debate because Oda's never actually come out and said like Haki was planned from the very beginning. Obviously, post time skip, this is something that was interesting when they did the vulcanization, right? So they did like a very clear visual cue of like what Haki looks like. But then there's other types where there's like the invisible Haki, like when the admirals just kind of block the attack, and so that is revealed later at Wano, like Rayleigh and Hyogoro explains the different kinds of armament.
my biggest take against this actually is going to be Zoro versus Mr. One.
Oh yeah, because that definitely that was a setup for observation right there. Absolutely.
Him moving away from the falling rocks, observation.
Yeah.
And him being able to cut Mr. One was armament.
Yeah.
And him also, and I've talked about this a lot, is at the end of Alabasta, when Zoro is off by himself, he literally says, I need to find a way to tap into that power again. And then even also when Luffy when Mizu Luffy punches Crocodile,
yes.
he's like, wait, did you use or are you using, and then like he gets trailed off. So Oda always has
it's little things like that go over, because Oda will sneak that stuff in. He won't, like, I feel like with other mangakas, like that scene with Crocodile being like, did you use ... In maybe another manga, they were like, oh, I'm gonna make that like a big page and like a super obvious like speech bubble. No, Oda crams it in like the bottom panel. I don't even remember that scene particularly. I have to look it up later. But he'll do that kind of stuff. You have to pay attention to a lot of the verbiage in One Piece. So
Haki as a concept, definitely there. Haki being shaded black.
Yeah. No. That was probably later. That was probably Oda sitting down and like, okay, I need to really hammer out how this power system's going to work when we go. I agree that by the time we hit post-time skip, that's when Oda had everything hammered out. Like with the Haki. Like, this is what the Haki's going to be. Observation, future sight, the Ryuo, that's all the stuff. He figured that out during the time skip. Like, maybe like when that month off, or it was like he definitively figured it out. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So that's number 9. Moving on to number 8. Okay, this is one that I read, and at first I was like, but then I was like, wait a second. Okay, Vivi somehow did not get recognized in Crocodile's organization. So Vivi was obviously Miss Wednesday.
Why would she?
She had blue hair. Vivi had blue hair. Therefore, Crocodile should have known that it was Vivi.
Right, but she slicked her hair back.
She slicked her hair back. And also, if you look at it, I'll throw it up in when I edit this, but if you look at the way Vivi is depicted in the anime, when she first shows up during the Laboon arc, and then how she's depicted when she's revealed to be Vivi, she's actually drawn in a completely different, like her eyes or like the way her face looks is slightly different.
Yeah. Was she using like Kami
to like reshape her face, but there's a very, you can tell there's like a definitive difference in just the way she's drawn,
and definitely a difference in what hair product she was using.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, after it was all busted and everything like that. Also, it's the world of anime, so like blue hair, pink hair, that's like standard hair color, right? So you can't just go by like Vivi of Alabasta has blue hair, therefore every But I will also say what like Vivi went missing, I guess, in Alabasta. What was the explanation for her just to go missing for a few years while she was off being a member of Baroque Works? That's something that did make me think about it. Like,
well, I mean, if Igaram, could get away with pretending to be Vivi, probably some other stand-in.
Maybe it was Igaram saying that, like, oh, I'm taking the princess for like a sightseeing tour to like travel different kingdoms, and Crocodile probably honestly didn't care. Like, Crocodile really afraid that like Vivi was going to be a threat to his like Utopia project, like that was going to be...
Well, apparently it did.
But was Crocodile like really afraid of that beforehand,
My other issue with this is, again, in the literal wording of this, Vivi somehow didn't get recognized in Crocodile's organization. Vivi literally got recognized in Crocodile's organization.
It took them a while though, Randy. They should have realized right away.
Hey, it's a secret organization.
They probably don't run a lot of background checks, is what I'm basically saying. They're probably just like, hey, you're really strong. You want to join our like clandestine kind of secret, ops organization.
The other thing too is how widely known is it that the Princess of Alabasta looks like this?
Yeah.
How many newspapers are being disseminated throughout the entire world with her picture in it? To know
I would say now, yes, because she's like, well, everything happening with her now.
Sure,
but at the time, maybe not. And like, I have to understand, like, Alabasta's a kingdom, sure, they're royalty, but you know how many freaking like royalty families are in One Piece? They probably all blend together after a while. Like the princess of the Protons kingdom, the princess of the Dressrosa kingdom, like,
Alabasta is literally one of the biggest islands in the Grand Line to begin with. Like, somebody could go and travel to Alabasta and never go to Alabarna.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and they're certainly not going and seeing Vivi either. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's a lot of ways to...
Yeah, there's ways you can couch it, definitely. Also, like, at this point in the story, Vivi was 16 pre-time skip. So, like, she's not really involved in, like, worldly politics yet. You know what I mean? Like, she attended, there was that flashback with Dalton where she attended the Reverie when she was, like, a little kid, but that was, like, obviously not, like, she's not...
She probably went to the other ones as
yeah,
well.
she did. When she was 14, there would have been one, too. But she's not, like, meeting with world leaders all the time at this point. Now she is, because she's now having a more relevant, you know, thing going on with her, with Alabasta and everything. But, yeah. So, you know, this one, number 7. Okay, no. We have to be very careful how we say this on YouTube, okay?
Sure.
I'm gonna have to blur this out
Kaido
in the
likes
editing.
to jump off of mountains
Did
and
you-
islands and clouds.
Were you a Power Rangers fan growing up, Randy?
I was.
You were, okay, because you're older than me, so you were probably like in the Mighty Morphin days, like
Yeah,
definitely.
I was there. I was there season 1, baby.
That's crazy. See, I wish I was born in '93, so I was there. I was a little kid. I wasn't really watching it when I was in the crib.
I was one of the, you know, the first people that was out there, you know, with the Halloween outfits.
Oh my god. I was the Blue Ranger. I was the Blue Dino Ranger Billy for one of my early like costumes. But
I was green, then white.
of course, rest in peace Jason David Frank, by the way.
Yes.
That was Have you ever actually met him? I met him once at a comic convention and it was kind of nice.
I
that
actually never
Wow.
did.
Yeah. He's a
and I've
really
been
cool
to a
dude.
bunch of,
Really cool guy.
A
Yeah.
bunch of comic conventions, and I mean, like I've seen Zach and Jason and maybe even Kimberly. Yeah, I have seen Billy, but I never saw.
Never saw Jason David Frank. Anyway, you might think that was a random tangent for no reason. Like, hey, we're talking about this. Hey, by the way, Power Rangers. In Power Rangers, they never say kill or die. It's always like, I will destroy you. So let's say Kaido wants to destroy himself, but he doesn't act like it. So that's the 7th thing. So that's the 3rd thing I guess we're covering. So I think he views it more as just like a hobby when he's bored. You know, like he's not like actually seriously trying to do this every moment of every day. It's just like, I'm bored, think I'll jump off, feeling cute, think I'll try to jump off of a sky island, see what happens, you know?
How old is this article?
2019, I believe. Let me double check.
So I would argue that there's I would argue that there's been things in the past 3 years that kind of negate this now.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, yeah.
This one I think is a bit dated because I think just the way that Kaido maneuvers himself through the Luffy fight is destroydial.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I just made a video about that today where I was talking about another fight, but I had to mention Kaido tangentially, and it's like Kaido was like, like rushing into battle. He's not really paying attention to other stuff. He's just like, bring it on, Luffy, let's go. Even when Luffy shows off crazy powers, that's like, maybe you should be more careful here. But no, he is diving right into the fray, like, I'm gonna go full power and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, and I just,
and we still don't know his status, by the way. Like, as of right now, we do not know. Yeah.
We also need to know more about his backstory to understand, because there's a key moment in his past that I'm sure we'll learn, through the, not necessarily the Rocks flashback, because I think it's going to be post.
It's going to be later than that. Yeah.
Later than that, because even after that, he still thought that he was Joy Boy. He still thought that he could attain these things. It's something else. Something else happened that made this.
I've made
happen.
so many so many people have made so many theories over the years about like why he's like this, I like that word destroydial. I'm gonna add that to the board upstairs of all my vocabulary words. I don't know if you saw it up there, but yeah, it's a list of random words that I'm just like, oh, that's a cool word. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Next time I pop in, I'll sneak around and look at other rooms.
Yeah. But there's like so many theories like, oh, he drinks because like, what if it's like, oh, Rocks died and now he's like, I'll never have another challenge again, and that's why he drinks and that's why he's like this. But you could do that with Odin. Odin's the same way. Like, Odin's gone, I'll never fight another man like him. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways you can look at it.
If it's Odin, I would be upset.
Yeah. But this one is probably like a little dated, like you said. So it, recent events.
We can move past that.
Okay, this is one that Shanks gives up his arm to a pipsqueak-sized Sea King. So it's like Lord of the Coast is not a very big Sea King. There's Sea Kings that are the size of mountains that are thousands of years old. There's some of the largest beings in all of One Piece. And then there's this little tiny one that's like a baby Sea King and just bites off Shanks' arm. And that's it. And the explanation, Shanks gives an explanation to this by himself, by the way, during when he met Whitebeard, and he's like, I wagered it. I placed a bet on the new era, on Luffy, becoming a great pirate like Roger. That's the reason he gave it up. And a lot of people just, like, they call bullshit on that. They're like, nope, he just, retcon or whatever,
Honestly, I mean, I love it, and I think that it's going to... it's not a plot hole, because it's something that hasn't been fully explained to us.
Yeah.
Like, what Shanks' motives exactly are, we don't know. We know that this is a man on a mission. I believe that all of the, like, deadbeat fathers and, different characters that we've seen in the world
yes up
are doing things for a reason.
Yeah.
They are all clued into something that is endgame level, and what Shanks saw in Luffy made him make that decision.
You gotta also look at it from the angle of, like, Shanks was depicted as a really strong pirate even at chapter 1. If you're asking, like, could Shanks have destroyed the Sea King, he could have. Definitely. Absolutely. Even from just, like, him in chapter 1, he could have. So the reason for why he gave up the arm, like, there's purpose behind that. And I think the purpose was to, like, really cement this, to make a powerful impression on Luffy. Okay? To, like, really help him along. Like literally this meeting here kind of, like, Luffy had already been asking to join Shanks' crew, but this was, like, the moment where Luffy decided, like, when, Shanks gave him the hat shortly after this, like, I'm gonna be a pirate, I'm gonna be king of the pirates, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. And I have heard that, and I don't know how true it is, that there was a version of chapter 1 where Shanks didn't lose the arm, but that Oda was convinced by either an editor or someone else that they needed something extra, a little bit of stakes, a little bit of tension to add on, and that does make sense.
Because think of the alternative where, yeah, let's say Shanks just rescues Luffy from the Sea King, scares it off, and then what? Nothing was lost. There's no like Luffy
almost drowned. That's it.
Luffy almost drowned. Higama got eaten by a Sea King. Shanks scared it off, and they went back to shore, and everything's fine. No.
No, we need this.
Yeah, we need this. And also, just for note, Shanks has barely showed up in the story since. So it's like we haven't had a lot of time with him to explain things. Have you seen Film Red?
I have.
Oh, yeah. You were in New York when Film Red came out. You were there for the premiere. How was that, by the way? Like, was it like electricity or in the air?
It was
wild.
It was awesome.
That's crazy.
There's so many, so many fans there, so many other YouTubers.
I should have went. I could have went. I had the option to go and I didn't. But man, yeah, Film Red anyway with Shanks and Uta, that's gonna be a separate video on its own. 5 out of 10. Ace and Blackbeard forgot about Haki. This is notable. This is just basically like Ace didn't know Haki when he really should have and did not use it against Blackbeard. This one I would say, like, even if Ace used armament and observation here, like, I don't know that would have really changed the fight all that much.
I don't think so either. And I like that this fight was about devil fruits. And you could make the argument that Ace's shock at what Blackbeard is doing by, like, taking his intangibility away.
No other ability does this. Like, Sea Prism is weak to it, and Ace would know about the weakness to Haki, but this is something on a whole other level.
Right.
Yeah.
Ace would know about Haki, so it's like his shock at what Blackbeard is doing, but it not being Haki, makes his shock even more plausible.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Ace has been confirmed to know Conquerors. He uses it when he's a kid. He never uses it again. And there's some, like, reasons for that. Maybe the reason for one of that is, like, he wanted, he wanted Whitebeard to become king of the pirates. So he's not as much of a conqueror anymore as maybe he had the potential to be.
Or he attributed it to something that he got from Roger and wanted no association.
That's a thing like it too, because Roger, of course, didn't have a devil fruit, so he was all about Haki. And Ace's whole dream was, I want to be my own great pirate. I don't want to be in the shadow of my dad, so I'm still going to be a pirate, but I'm going to be my own kind of pirate. And for that reason, there. If Ace, I think Ace would have known, like, observation and armament at this point. It wouldn't be on some crazy level, though. He wouldn't have had, like, future sight observation. He wouldn't have had, like, advanced Ryuo or anything anyway. So, and like you said, the shock of it, I think that kind of, like, balances out with this. And the fact that the fight was all just about devil fruits. Like,
the writer of this article has an issue with Haki.
It seems. I mean, like, Haki, yeah, because, like, it wasn't explained at the very beginning of the story, therefore it must be like a retcon later on, I guess. Like that's the logic, which, you know, I've seen manga that try to explain every single aspect of their power system at the very beginning. It can be very clustered. You know, have you ever read a book like that, or like read anything where it's like, I'm gonna explain like info dump at the beginning of how this power system works?
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. You have to kind of like, you know, trickle it throughout the story to really make it like more palpable, I think.
Well, imagine, you know, going back to the smoker scene. Imagine if we were just told what Logias were before we saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Show, don't tell.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like a common, you know, story writing thing. Okay, this one is interesting. Okay, legends, lore, and myths in One Piece. All right, information in One Piece is inconsistent at best. Sometimes the Marines seem to know everything about every pirate crew. I don't know, was that ever shown before? At other times they think that Tony Chopper... Oh, is it because of that? Is it because Chopper's blonded poster is perpetually... Okay, that does irritate me, though. It really does. Because they should know... I call it the Chopper paradox, okay? It's either they should know that Chopper is just a helpless... Not a helpless pet, but they should know that Chopper's monster point is him. And therefore, they know the monster point does so this devastating damage at Eni's lobby. Sentomaru saw it during Sabaody. So it's like, oh, okay, Chopper is the monster point, therefore he gets a decent bounty. Or they think they're separate, in which case Chopper's brain point should have a separate wanted poster, and the monster point should have a separate monster poster. But clearly there isn't, so it's like, yeah, we know there's this giant monster on the crew that has a blue nose and looks like a giant reindeer monstrosity, but it's probably not Chopper, so... 100 berries or 50 berries.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the thing that bothers me is Beppo has a similar situation.
Yeah, Beppo is the same way. Does the Marines not know that minks exist? Like, they should. They really should.
But the other thing, too, is that never seen anything... Like, Chopper has shown me that, yes, he deserves a higher bounty.
Absolutely.
Beppo has never shown me anything.
Oh, Beppo could mess somebody up. Beppo is a martial arts polar bear.
Allegedly.
Okay, do you know how much 500 berries would be in our world? Like, if you just do a quick conversion from 500 berries to yen, it's like $5. Like, that's just pitiful. You know, you bring a polar... Okay, let's take this out of the realm of we don't know what Beppo can really do, like Sulong or anything like that. A polar bear is worth more than a $5 bounty. You know, it's a polar bear, for God's sake. This one might actually have some merit here.
All right. Writer of the article.
There you go. I don't know who the article. Yeah. Remember at the beginning and before the Grand Line, devil fruits were rare and most people did. Okay, that is explained though, because in the Four Blues, like, we don't see hardly any devil fruit users during the East. Yeah. There's Luffy and there's Buggy. Buggy is from the Grand Line. That's where he got his fruit, and he was on Roger's crew. So that's a perfect explanation. Then he went to go live in the East, okay? After Buggy, we don't get another devil fruit until Lockdown. So Smoker, once again, did not grow up in the East. Smoker was a Marine in the Grand Line, and so that's how he got his fruit. And then Alvida. So the only devil fruit... I mean, even Luffy's Gamu Gamu no Mi, because that was something that Cypherpole had, and then Shanks got. So that did not originate in the East. So we really only had Alvida's Slip fruit, which is the only devil fruit that was just she found and ate. I guess maybe the Maramara, if you want to look at the Ace Light novel, as canon, because that was also found on no, that washed ashore on the island. So maybe that was from somewhere else. But it's rare. All the devil fruit users are in the Grand Line pretty much. So that's where it's all kind of like, you know, hoarded.
Because the Grand Line's where it gets kooky.
It gets kooky in the Grand Line, and then, like, that's where most fruits are probably reincarnated in the Grand Line. And the information doesn't travel as well as in our world. They don't have the internet, you know, so it's not like, you know, just had a devil fruit, check it out, it really exists, posted on Twitter.
Not yet.
So, not yet, but, well, I'm not going to spoil anything post-Wano, so, yeah. All right, this one. This has been, okay. This has been a bane for years, because there's always a comment, whenever I'm talking about devil fruit weaknesses, you've probably seen this too, there's always a comment from somebody on YouTube that'll always be like, devil fruit users are weak to all kinds of water, or it's just seawater, or like they can get sprayed with water and be weak. Like, how do they take showers? How do they bathe?
I mean, wasn't it clarified that it's like it only affects them when it's above the knees?
It's dependent on the amount of body that it's actually covering, and it's only standing. It's standing liquid. The way that I actually screen capped the SBS, and I'll have it. I'll show it up again for the last time because Oda's addressed this. It's not just seawater though. That's the big one. That's the one that everyone thinks that it's like, oh, therefore, you know, Luffy could swim in a pool if it was. No, that's not how it works. It's any type of liquid. And the more that you're submerged in the liquid, it weakens you more. If it gets up to your like ankles, not a big deal. You can walk through it fine. Knees probably starting to get a little weakened. About halfway, that's when it really starts to zap you. And if you're underwater, you get, you know, you're in problem because you pass out and you can't breathe unless you're a fisherman or a merman or something like that.
Yeah.
So here, this is a scene from Film Z when they're in the water and they're
terrible.
They're severely weakened. And then later on, it even says that, like, I think it says
using non-canon material.
Yeah, right. It brings up here. Yeah. Don't use non-canon material. It's a movie. You could just disregard it. But down here, it's Aokiji in that same scene, also in the movie, gets out of the water and makes ice form. But he was like getting out of the water when he did that. And also, it's like also explained like when you really get really strong with your devil fruit, you can resist it to some extent. Yeah. You're not completely immune to it, but you can fight it back a little bit more. Like, early on when Luffy falls in Arlong Park in the water, he pretty much loses consciousness immediately.
But he can still stretch.
He can still
get his head out of the water.
It doesn't negate the power.
So just because Aokiji is in water doesn't mean that he can't create ice with the parts that aren't in water.
And it doesn't mean necessarily if a really strong character gets dropped in the water, they'll instantly lose consciousness. Like Jack fell in the water, and he could breathe because he's a fishman, but he was weak and he couldn't move. But he's just like, hope somebody pulls me out of here. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if Luffy fell in the water now, I feel like he'd be able to maintain consciousness for a little while longer than he did before. You know, the last time he got knocked in the water was when Kaido already knocked him out, and then he fell in the water.
True.
You know. But yeah. So to reiterate, it's standing water. Like, they're not going to be defeated by a super soaker. They can take showers. That's how most of them bathe. Or sponge baths. That's how they bathe. If they submerge themselves in water itself, like a bathtub, they would feel weakened. Depends on how much it covers them. Okay, 2 left. This is another weird one. Sanji's varying devil fruit knowledge. When Sanji first appears at the Baratie, he seems surprised to find out devil fruit users are useless in water, like he didn't know. Later we find out he was reading the devil fruit encyclopedia, and he finds out about devil fruits. Here's the thing, though. I'm still under the impression he probably was like up into debating whether or not devil fruits even existed. You know what I mean? Like, has he met a devil fruit user before Luffy, like at the Baratie?
I mean, it would,
because I don't know. I view it like he was looking through the encyclopedia and he's like, oh, a fruit that turns you invisible. That'd be really cool if these things actually existed. But then he meets Luffy and he's like, oh, holy crap, those things I learned about when I was a kid actually do exist. You know, like, you know, a little bit shocked by that. You know.
Yeah, but then you take what we have from the Whole Cake Island flashback as well, and everything that Judge was working with, and any sort of connection with Mads. We also need to know if Judge had any sort of interaction with any of the other members of Mads potentially.
But would Sanji know about that? I don't think Judge would tell him like everything about the world at that point.
Obviously not Caesar.
Yeah.
And it's.
I don't think it's inconsistent. Certainly not world breaking as the title of the article was. Certainly not that.
But I would say that this one has more credence to it than most of the things that's on this list,
right?
Just because of the lines during the Baratie.
Yeah, you have to you can make it make sense, but you have to go through a little bit more of the mental gymnastics than like the other examples on this list that might just be like, oh, Oda planned this and it's just whatever.
Because I do believe that Oda had it planned early on to have Sanji be a prince of the German kingdom, and to eventually get to that part of his story. We have Mr. Prince, we have talking about North Blue and Jaya. There's a lot of stuff there. This devil fruit part could have been something that he added in later. Maybe.
And also like even if he knew about devil fruit powers, like they actually existed. and then he's in the Baratie, he's probably not running into Devil Fruit users all the time. So Luffy falls in the water, was the one that like, oh yeah, he can't swim, he has a Devil Fruit power. Sanji's like, oh yeah, I remember that, and then he dives in, you know, like, yeah, you're right.
Here's my easiest way around this.
Yeah.
My easiest way around this, though, is that the encyclopedia is literally just a picture book of the fruits.
And they don't even have all the pictures.
So if you never saw a Devil Fruit user go into the water, and it's not explained in the book, and it's just the fruits, the book probably doesn't say, hey, if you eat one, stay out of the water.
Yeah, the book might not actually, the book might just be, like you said, like a picture book or some, it's mentioned there's not pictures of every devil fruit, so there's like missing entries, obviously, and it doesn't catalog everything. So it might just be like, yeah, here's this. And it's a rare book to begin with.
And it could be something that Vegapunk put together.
It could be. Actually, it could have been a Vegapunk thing, Vegapunk publication. But anyway, it's it could also be like not like these are all the weaknesses of devil fruit users, like, you know, Haki and Sea Prism Stone, and, you know, like it might not list any of that stuff. It might just be
name a fruit, what it does,
and that's it. And some people
fruit pitcher, unknown fruit.
And the people that even have the chance to get a copy might think it's just like, it's like I'm reading a Harry Potter magic spell book or something. Like, oh, that's just an interesting fantasy, you know, like, yeah. So we have number one, and this is probably, most people probably could have seen this one coming, the Pell Explosion Conundrum. Points for the title. I love that. It's like you go to college in like a philosophy class or something, and it's like, okay, class, today we are discussing the Pell Explosion Conundrum. It's stumbled many great philosophers through the years. How did Pell survive the explosion? It's like Schrodinger's cat. Like, how did Pell survive the explosion? Like, okay, what's your favorite theory on this one? I've heard so many ones.
Pell's dead.
Pell's dead.
No,
he came back as a ghost. He's like you. He's a ghost. He's just there. Yeah.
This is my least favorite thing in One Piece, and
this type of thing, or this specifically?
This specific thing. This specific thing. If I could change one thing in One Piece, it would be Pell dies. Like, and I would not hesitate if I could just take a pen and go do change this.
I think I'm with you on that one. I honestly am, because it really does. He had like the perfect send off. Perfect send off. He was literally Horus, the guardian deity of like ancient Egypt, or Alabasta in this sense. And it's like, I will save the country. We got to know him enough. He wasn't like a main character, but we got to know him enough that he was important to Vivi and her pain after he apparently dies. And it's like literally a very, like, one of the tacked on scenes at the end where he just shows up in the desert, like at the doctor's office. A random hospital in the middle of the desert.
Not a fan.
I've heard theories like Oda changed it because he didn't want to end it on a sad note. I've heard theories that because this chapter came out around when 9/11 occurred.
November 2001.
November 2001, so therefore, like, explosions, not good. No. Which, I don't know. I don't know if that's
depends. It depends on how, you know, much Japan was affected by.
Yeah, it depends on that, because there actually is credence for that, because there were movies. You ever see The Bourne Identity?
Oh yeah, there were so many movies.
Yeah,
TV shows.
The Bourne Identity and Spider-Man were the ones I know immediately, because The Bourne Identity is supposed to end, I think, with a gas station blowing up, and they decided to change that because of 9/11. In one of the teaser trailers for Spider-Man, the original, like, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, like, Spider-Man's chasing, like, no, it's a helicopter flying through Manhattan, and the helicopter gets stuck in a spider web that was made between the Twin Towers. And they actually had to scrub that because of 9/11. So there has been examples of media changing because of that. Whether or not it was specifically involved here is up to say. Oda's never spoke on it.
Most likely theory about it.
Yeah, or maybe one of Oda's editors at the time said, like, maybe you should have Pell survive, because
my issue,
the world needs a little hope right now. You know what I mean? Maybe something like that. Yeah.
My biggest issue with it is because that Pell has done nothing.
Yeah, he's just there.
He's a background character. He's an
hey,
extra.
You don't know yet, Randy. I don't know. Vivi's missing right now. Pell might get all geared up and go out on his own.
I don't need that.
As a commando falcon to go save the day.
Chaka can do it. Anything Pell can do, except fly.
I was gonna say
Shaka
fly.
Shaka can do it. All right.
Okay.
That's a joke we have on my channel.
Okay.
And but it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's like Oda will put Pell like in the background of a scene and give him no lines. And it's like, and it's almost like Oda just saying like, I'm just appeasing.
Yeah, he's there.
This guy
he's
really
there
is
in the back.
supposed to
I mean,
be there.
honestly,
I didn't want to bring him
I'll tell
back.
you what. A lot of people that are maybe like God, that happened what, November 2001. Like, there's people that could be watching One Piece or reading One Piece right now that might have not even like it doesn't matter to them because they didn't read it like at the time or like when the anime was airing and stuff. And I first saw it in 4Kids. Obviously that scene. I don't know how 4Kids handled that scene actually. Giant explosion of a bomb going off. I don't know how they handled that. I'd have to go back and check. Yeah. But anyway, that's the list. I mean, like, I'd say the Pell conundrum probably is the best one. And like maybe like, would you call it a plot hole, or would you call it?
I wouldn't call it a plot hole.
It's not a plot hole because that doesn't really fit. It's just
it's a poor narrative choice.
That
and it's also potential editor interference.
Yeah, I could go with that too. That's probably most likely what it is. But anyway, that was CBR. That makes a good solid video. I might actually, for the stream, because I'm going to air this during the charity stream, I might break this up into 2 videos and just have it like part 1 at the beginning of the stream and then part 2. It's going to be a 9-hour stream. I got to have stuff to air. I got to talk for a long time for these. Anyway, I'll cut back to other version, future me doing the charity stream. Hope we're up to 100 million donations by now. Thanks for watching, everybody.
And I'm going to go home.
I guess, can you just teleport now? Is that a cool, did you unlock that ability? You actually are Jumper?
Me and Chrissy and I, we shambles a lot.
You shambles a lot. You shamble along that nice trail, nice dusty trail.
So it's just something I don't get to do it every once in a while. I don't get to do it all the time, and sometimes I.
Well, give it a spin. Let's see what happens. Was he even real to begin with?
Well, that was fun. Hope everybody enjoyed that. Till next time, like, comment, subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. Hope everybody's holiday is good.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.